Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CANONBULL Podcast. I am your host, SaintJorge, and today we are going to talk about love. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about why I think the romance between Mark Grayson, Invincible, and Samantha Eve Wilkins, Atom Eve, is forced. A lot of people on Twitter, online, they believe that this is like a top 5 romance in comic books and fiction. I'm going to give you the signs and the clues in the show and in the comics as to why this romance is not top 5. It's not well done, it's forced, and I think it could have been done a lot better. So I'm going to be referring more so to the show because that's the medium I consume more, not the comics, but there will be some drops of information here and there. So spoiler alert, if you're not caught up with the TV show or the comic books, you might want to go catch up and then get back here. Or if you don't care, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn and chocolates for the sake of love, and let's talk about why Mark and Eve is forced and why Amber and Mark is actually a better relationship.
Are you sure?
A lot of the premise and the reasons why Mark and Eve are together, the show tells us and the story tells us that it's because they are sort of meant to be together. They're both superheroes, they both know what comes with the life, they both have been friends for quite some time, they understand each other in ways that others cannot. They've seen each other in their highs and lows, and they just genuinely think highly of each other. The romance, the feelings, it's always been there. It's been a slow burn. And that could not be further from the truth. It's bull squash. Here's why. I'm gonna go in chronological order so things make sense. Until I get to the third season and those first 3 episodes, which from an entertainment perspective is peak, but God, the character work is disgusting in those 3 episodes. We start the series and, Mark is single. He's 17. He hasn't dated a girl before in his life. And this girl named Amber is showing interest in him. Up until then, he just doesn't think about girls. He's unpopular as a nerd. Mark gets his powers. The Flaxlands invasion happens. He sees Eve for the first time. He's shocked that he's seeing Atom Eve face to face. She's a very famous member of the teen team. And the next day at school, he's bummed out about Omni-Man being in hospital because he was beaten up, wink wink, by the Guardians of the Globe. And, he sees Eve and he's like, William, is that Eve? I want to talk to Eve. William responds, yeah, you and every other guy who's near Eve wants to talk to her. And didn't you get beat up because you were trying to do something with Amber just like yesterday or like a day ago? Talk about being a glutton for pain. And he goes to her and he talks to her. Not because he's interested in her romantically, but because Mark is putting 2 and 2 together. He's like, wait, I know you from somewhere. I've seen you before. That red hair, those green eyes, those nicely designed eyelashes. Man, they ruined the design in the second season and the third season. But I've seen you before. And they bond on a superhero level. They bond with that. She notices that, hey, this is that Invincible guy. And they talk about, being superheroes. And she invites him to come to the teen team base later. In the meantime, Amber is interested in the boy who stood up for her in the first episode, I believe. Because, the bully was irritating her. So she's interested in this guy. It's like, oh, he stood up for me. Mark Grayson. I'm interested. And she sees him leave with Amber. And so she asks his friend William, is he dating Eve? William's like, no. No. Mark is not dating Eve Wilkins. And even if he was, you are welcome to try. And Amber was like, yes, I'm going to step up my game. And her sister's going to fight for this man. And so we go to the teen team base. Rex cheats, and I want us to look at this because in the third season, jumping now a little bit ahead here, the reason why Eve is so ecstatic about the idea of dating Mark is because she says it's a logical kind of choice. They're both superheroes. They know what comes with the job. No one understands his life better than they do, so it's going to be an easier time working together being a couple. This can't be further from the truth again, because you and Rex are basically two peas in a pod. You're both government experiments. You have that shared trauma. Horrible parents. Rex's parents completely sold him out, and you guys still didn't work. Rex cheated on you. Now, of course, Rex is a different person, but it's like, I don't believe you'd have that perspective, especially after you kind of, I think you went into the relationship thinking the same thing, that Rex gets me and we're both heroes, and it still didn't work out. So why would you do that again unless the writer is forcing this? Jumping back to them finding out that Rex cheated, she's upset about it. And Mark is not on this buzz of like, hey, well, that's an opportunity for me to swoop in and grab this girl. No, he's like genuinely bummed out that someone who's becoming his friend got cheated on. He's like, Rex is a jerk. And he has to learn that, like, from Eve, he wasn't always a jerk. He used to be really kind to me, but he changed for some reason. Fast forward, things with Mark and Amber start progressing, slowly but surely. She comes to his house. They're supposed to read or study together. She gets to know him, what he likes. He's a nerd, he likes toys and Transformers, or at least the Invincible Universe version of Transformers, comic books, and heroes. And she still thinks that's cool. She likes his music sense, I think. He's the one that puts on the song, right? So, she likes that. But there's trouble and he has to leave. And, Omni-Man kind of compliments him for leaving his girl to go and save the world, because that's the responsible thing to do, because that's what heroes do. After that, things progress even further. I believe they kiss, but things start to get rocky because he starts to disappear. He starts to leave her behind for the weirdest of things, starts making excuses, no time for her. She starts to see him as a bad boyfriend. These are now the pains that they have to go through that I think makes the relationship a lot more tangible than Eve and Mark's relationship. As time goes on, the college trip comes up because Mark wants to make things up to Amber. In the meantime, you can tell that Eve's feelings for Mark are growing. She just broke up with Rex, and this Mark guy has been in a corner for some time. I think I should tell him how I'm feeling about him. But when she goes there, he is already kissing Amber. They're back from the college trip. They're kissing each other. I believe Eve was going to tell him something before he left. Unfortunately, he was in a rush and he couldn't stay to hear what she had to say. And even that interaction, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, did you want me to invite you? You can come with. You see, if this was a girl that Mark liked, the first thing we'd think about without even question would be inviting, because it's like, I like this girl, I'm gonna let her tag along. So, because I want to be around her, but he's focusing on the person he's with. This happens sometimes in real life, in relationships. You're dealing with two girls, both of them are amazing girls, but things progress faster with the other. So you date the other, and then the other one who you're not dealing with on that level becomes your friend, or you keep her around, or it depends on what type of moral compass you have. But Mark's a good guy, so
I beg your pardon?
He focuses solely on Amber. That's his girlfriend now. It's his first girlfriend. He wants to make things perfect. He wants to treat her right, okay? His parents, up until this point, have been a good example of a loving, kind relationship to him. I might be doing legwork there. So time goes on. Amber and Mark are in the clear. We get into the second season. There's still rocky things here and there. This thing of Mark having to leave and putting his life at risk. But eventually, Amber finds out that Mark is invincible, but she's still upset.
I figured it out weeks ago.
Then why are we fighting?
We're fighting because you lied to me. You made me feel stupid and unimportant.
It's a secret identity.
And because you don't trust me.
I'm trusting you now.
Fly away, flyboy. Or take the stairs. I really don't give a shit.
A lot of people use this part now to give Amber the MJ cap. Like, the MJ shirt. You don't understand the superhero life. You're selfish. You don't care. But this is where Amber goes beyond that. This is where she grows above that criticism. She ends up understanding and wanting to make things work with Mark. She ends up trying to understand the superhero life. And there's moments even when she almost cheats on Mark, but she refuses to. Those moments, it makes the relationship really palpable, I think. That they're working towards something. That they're building towards that, you know what? I love you. I really do, and I'm here to stay. I want to make this work. And in the background, Eve and Mark, they developing a relationship that's based more on trust and friendship. Whenever there are problems, they're there to talk to each other because they get the life. When at the end of the first season, when Mark is trying to quit being a hero, and Eve is trying to convince him, like, dude, don't do that. You've done a lot of good. And he's convinced, I just ruined things. Okay, I'm not even like, I think at that point, Amber's not talking to him. So he's like, I'm not doing this hero thing anymore. But Dark Seismic shows up and they have to deal with that. They work very well together as a team. You get those sparks of like a really good connection between them. But up until this point, we don't know what Mark's feelings are towards Eve. We have an idea of what Eve's feelings are towards Mark because she wanted to tell him something. She wanted to engage something between them, but she caught him and Amber in the act, so she couldn't do anything. So we have an idea of how Samantha feels. Don't know how Mark feels. The season ends. Angstrom Levy happens. A lot of stuff goes down in Mark's life. Anissa happens, and that is the straw that breaks the camel's back. That breaks Amber's back. She's like, I can't do this anymore. And Mark is like, we're breaking up, aren't we? We've been trying this entire season and it's not working. And that's another weight on Mark's shoulders. At the end of season 2, Mark has a lot on his shoulders. He killed a man. He broke up with his girlfriend. His father is trying to get back into his life after everything that he did. And things with sea salt are getting a bit intense. They're getting a bit intense. And at the end, a future version of Eve now tells him, hey, listen, I like you. And I always have. I actually love you, but you never said anything. And I've held on to that for all these years. When you go back, can you tell me something? Whether it's a no or a yes. They gave this guy an option. He could have said no, he could have said yes. But he now knew that like, this is on his shoulders. I know how he feels about me. Now we're getting to the third season. This is when all the bull squash starts happening in those first 3 episodes. The episode, you get so many characters who are suddenly trying to convince Mark, the audience, I think, that he should date Eve. Even Rexplode, her ex, is convincing him, hey, so what's going on with you and Eve? You guys aren't asking each other out? Like, why? I want to see you both happy, you my friends. And I get that he's changing as a person, but it's still very strange that he would do that. William's doing the same thing. William's boyfriend's doing the same thing. Suddenly all these people are trying to convince people close to Mark, are trying to convince him, you should go and ask Eve out. You're both single. You both have been around each other for a long time. Now, okay, it's not abnormal for friends to suggest you could see someone, but they don't even acknowledge how things are with Amber or like what his mental state is in at that point. I know that after that he decided to lock in on the superhero life, but what if that could have been part of it where it's like, well, because I'm trying to lock in on the superhero life, I'm not trying to do anything relationship-wise, even if it's with the superhero, because again, just because you're superheroes doesn't mean that you have to, or things are gonna work out miraculously, serendipitously. This guy goes to Eve. He's like, yo, I think we should see each other. I think we should work. I think we could work as people, as a couple. And she's like, oh, Mark Grayson, are you asking me out? Yes, let's do it. Why not? We're both superheroes. We know what comes with the life. Of course this is going to work. And I'm like, girl, let me take you back to Rexplode though. And Mark is dumb enough, and I think the writer at this point is trying to farm drama to mention that like, oh, I didn't want to leave you hanging. So stupid. That makes her blow up. She doesn't want to be near Mark for the entire episode. She begrudgingly works with him to go and help everyone else and save them from Dark Seismic. After that, we then get what happens between Cecil and Mark. Cecil and Mark break up. And that's a whole nother character assassination moment that I'm not going to talk about in this video. And on the rooftop, Mark and Eve have another conversation about the two of them. He apologizes for what he said about her future self, and he tries to float the idea again of them dating. At this point, it's like Mark is kind of desperate to just be Eve's boyfriend. It starts getting very strange. It's like, why are you so eager to push this relationship? Why not let it be a thing of like, okay, she said no. I think it would be interesting, honestly, if at this point in the third season, like Mark left things and then just kind of let the season go on, and you start to see how he genuinely develops those feelings for Eve, and Eve starts to kind of develop even more feelings for Mark, and then they decide, you know what, this is actually real and there's something here, let's do something about it. But no, later on he goes to see her at the Teen Team base at that bridge which looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know what city they live in, man. I don't, until this point it looks like a mixture of Chicago and New York and San Francisco. I don't know, but he's telling her, listen, you were questioning if my feelings for you are real. Here's how I know it's real. When I was getting the absolute dog kicked out of me by the Reanimen, the only thing I could think about before my lights might have gone out was you, Eve. All I could think about was how I was never gonna see you again. And that made me so sad. Because it's you, Eve.
It's like your brain doesn't fucking work, you idiot.
And I'm sitting there. And I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight, Grayson. You were about to get your lights out. And you didn't think about your mom. You didn't think about your brother. You didn't think about your dad or your uncle or your aunts or your cousins from your mom's side. You didn't think about William. You thought about Eve. Because you weren't gonna see her. You see, for me, this was the straw that broke my back. I was like, no, what is this? And to make matters worse, my back was already cracked. They decided to crumble it into dust. You know what they did? Eve hears this. Eve listens to this. And she's like, oh, you know what? I'm convinced. Because you said that, I'm so convinced.
So are we dating or what?
Yes!
Man, I want you to.
And it's like, oh, hold on. That's all it took to convince you? You were so adamant before you left the rooftop of the Grayson residence that you need more than just the future self pushed this to happen. You need more than Mark wanting to date you. You want it to be real because you've been hurt before. You don't want to get hurt again. You know, Rex did the hurting, of course. You don't want to get hurt again. And it's like, yeah, that's of course that's possible because, hey, you being superheroes doesn't make this an invincible relationship. Can't believe I said that. So she's convinced. And now they're dating. And then they kiss. Immediately. And I sat there like, first kiss? Already? Are we not gonna build up towards that? There's no build up whatsoever. And instead of them trying to take the time to establish how Mark ends up gaining feelings, because again, up until this point, we don't know how Mark feels towards Amber. Her future self came and told him, listen, I like you. And all of a sudden, this boy was madly in love with Eve. Oh, the feelings have always been there. No, they have not. I just explained everything. From the first season up until now, we only see Mark interacting with Eve as a friend, as a close confidant, someone he can trust. Out of all heroes, Cecil and everything, or the Guardians, Eve is the one person that Mark knows he can go to, and it's such a safe space. That's Eve for him. And I wish he could have explored that more in the third season, but we rush straight into a romance because they want Mark to grow so fast. And then there's the whole first date thing, and I think they have a conversation about them moving a little bit too fast. Him saying, I believe I love you already. and they kind of have a back and forth of, to the effect of, no, it's not, because obviously we have this connection already, so it makes sense. And it's like, you guys are trying so hard to convince the audience of this. I'm not buying it. I'm really not buying it. And of course, as time goes on, their relationship is far from perfect. They break up more than once. At a certain point, the baby is what keeps them together. But you do have that element in the comics as you read further, because the show hasn't done this yet. You do get this element of like, they are really kind of trying to tough it out together. They're trying to do the long haul. They're not trying to leave each other. But I will say this, Mark and Eve's relationship is a lot more turbulent than Amber and Mark's relationship was. Mark and Amber's relationship felt very real. Who knows, maybe it's because of the fact that Amber was not a superhero, but it's just Mark and Eve go through a lot and it seems toxic at times. But that's my thoughts on why I believe the Mark and Eve relationship is forced, and why I think Mark and Amber is a far superior relationship, or at least was done in a more organic way, a way that made more sense than Mark and Eve. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Always happy to hear your thoughts. Let me know if you want to see more content like this about me breaking down certain relationships or characters from certain shows, movies, or comics, whatever you name it. Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you found yourself liking this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for everything and anything Cannonbull. Would love to have you part of the family. Always do you, and always look good doing it. This has been SaintJorge. I will see you guys in the next one. Don't force relationships. Ciao, ciao.